Oh, that's not right.
Oh, okay.
Did he want us to get rid of the NH part?
Got my brother and his family, my sister. They're all up there.
Yeah, you.
Right.
So not to protecting my device again.
Well, you say you come home to the TV.
So that's what happened the first time.
Who's coming over?
Our IT guy, because it's not recognizing my computer. And it did that the first time earlier and the,
IT never compares.
are you here for the POCD meeting
Agriculture.
about?
Chickens.
Chickens. You should look at your shirt.
So Jim, we're just having trouble getting this on the screen. It's only on my
Okay.
computer now. It's not on. Why won't it do that?
We really need something about that.
So what'd you hit? Yes?
No,
Just escape.
yeah.
Escape made it work.
Hang out if you want to make sure that the other things work.
All right, let's do the test. Should be in
I got an
the
iPad
middle of the
on my-
table.
but I don't know which place.
Oh, is it not? Yeah. You can change it.
Change it to,
The lobster.
it's not showing it
Yeah, you have to
as,
connect it to it. So you have to go to your Bluetooth and connect to it again. So start button over here, you have Bluetooth or settings, little gear. Yeah. And then Bluetooth or device. Upside down.
other times it just works.
I know.
I got an iPad. Can I get that?
Says it's paired.
Just click on it. Yeah, just click on it.
Oh, it's paired but not connected.
So. When you start.
So now it is.
Yeah, it looks like. Yeah, go ahead.
When you start the meeting and you go to that setting where the microphone is.
It wasn't there.
Yeah, it should be there now.
Should
So hopefully now it's there.
Yeah, it's not there. No, it's not. It's a speaker Bluetooth. I don't know why it's not showing up.
Jake,
It's like-
Merry Christmas. This is Dave. Dave's all right.
Oh, what do we do here? Oh,
Oh, you need my tape?
that's all right.
We'll dial you up. Thank you.
Blue was lit up and.
Oh, it's one.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's 68.
Sufficient? Sufficient?
Do I turn it down on it?
Yeah.
You think 68 is what they go? Think they only go 68 to 72?
Well, you know what it is, I think it's because it's not, it's really close, so it's kind of winding down. They have us on their system down in facilities. And after hours, it does do, yeah, it kicks, all right. All right, you ready? No.
No, we
No.
did test this at 4 o'clock. We came and we got all
We're
hooked up and we were
all-
all
I
tested.
know.
Except we're not.
I can still hear, okay, sorry, I didn't know if they were waiting on me. This is fun. Guys.
Okay. I printed it, but I didn't.
I don't know why I wait, but you were going like 6 years.
Probably about time. For a lawnmower.
Our driver.
One second.
No.
Okay. Where you want?
Thank you.
something?
He waved his hand.
Well,
You're muted.
Unmute, say something, please.
yes, can you hear me now?
No, can't hear him.
No, I'm unmuted, can't hear me.
I thought I saw the green, or maybe that's, that's us.
I can hear him. I can hear everybody.
You have the right speakers, you want to do the test speaker microphone.
Our microphone's working for sure.
Oh, last time.
Can you guys hear me?
He's supposed to be here.
I can hear you, Sandy. This is Jim.
Okay, so we can hear each other, but they can't hear us.
That's right. We can talk about them now.
There you go.
Running.
I'm just trying to find a place to park. Here we go.
Oh, boy.
There we go.
Can you hear him?
All right, now this.
Yeah, so I'm, somebody else.
I'm just parking, so when I go in, I'll tell them that we can hear each other.
Okay.
So we can hear them now, so that's.
Oh, there we go.
Can you?
Can you hear me
All
now?
right.
Yes.
Thought process.
Yes.
See if you work.
Yeah, he lives there.
Thank you.
All right.
Sounds like we'll need your help next month too. You just waited to figure it out.
There's.
If you don't mind.
Actually found.
Do you want me to put it over here? I'm letting them, they take care of it. They don't pick up well.
Where it said, using like state park. Ralph did that for a while. Yeah.
Are we ready?
We are now ready.
Oh, all right. So thank you, everyone, and welcome to the Plan of Conservation and Development quarterly meeting. Today is June 27th, and I'll call the meeting to order, and it is currently 6:11. Sorry for the delay. I'll ask everyone to rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. We're gonna ask for a roll call. I saw standing on the way in, so.
I'll skip her until.
All right,
John Beely,
here.
Ed Gazarian,
Here.
Guy Hoffman,
Here.
Lucas Van Zant.
Here.
Bruce LaRoche,
Here.
Peter Neiman,
Here.
Leonard Tubbs.
Was he excused?
Okay, I'm not positive, but.
Oh, yeah, I think he's on vacation.
John Dyken
Here.
and Sandra Capola. Here.
We have our guest with us, Ms. Diane Dorsey, she's noted for record. Great. On to the audience of citizens. Are there any citizens that wish to address the commission before we get into the regular agenda? Now would be your chance to be heard. I will ask that you state your name, address for the record, and then we'll hear your comments. So did anyone wish to speak?
Your name and.
Sure, I'll be first. My name is Karen Huang. I'm at 50 Butternut Lane in Berlin. I heard that there was a letter written to the committee revisiting the issue of allowing chickens in town. Just changing the ordinance so you don't require, or just changing the ordinance so it's not requiring 10 acres or somehow allowing most homeowners or more homeowners to have chickens. I don't know if anybody really has 10 acres in town anymore. Like one owner, not a lot. And just the way that the ordinance is written, it lumps cows, goats, sheep, like everything into, a farm. And it's just not consistent with a lot of the neighboring towns who are similar to Berlin, like Weathersfield or even New Britain. I believe Middletown too. Southington also has different, acreage requirements, so even regular suburban homeowners are allowed a certain number of chickens, and there's different things too, like they have to be set back from the property a certain amount of space and no roosters and things like that, but I believe chickens shouldn't be lumped into the same category as a cow, when we're talking about agricultural animals.
So you're looking for us to relieve you from the minimum 10-acre requirement for chickens?
Correct.
All right. Okay. You realize that we are just a committee that serves as an advisory board. It is not within the purview of this committee to change the zoning. That is left to the building department and the zoning, planning and zoning commission. So although, you know, I thank you for the comment. So let me take it one step further, Ms. Hong. Are you looking to allow chickens wherever? In other words, somebody could have 7,000 square foot building lot, like on Porter's Pass, and do you think chickens should be allowed there in that environment?
I think it's up for discussion, depending what other citizens would like. I would assume if they're in a coop and contained, you really don't need a lot of space for chickens. They're relatively quiet. I know there's a lot of dogs in town that are probably louder than chickens would ever be. And those are allowed, you know, at any type of property in apartments. For people who have no land.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'll go next.
Yes.
Hello, my
Hi.
name is Sam Grady. I live at 1022 Worthington Ridge. My mom was the one that wrote the letter and sent it in. So we have been talking about chickens for a long time. I was very surprised when my mom received the letter back saying that we would have to apply for the zoning change, which would be over $400. I think it was $460. She spoke to somebody and they suggested going through this route since that would alleviate the $460 if it came from this committee. I just don't think when you buy chickens from Tractor Supply for $1 that you would have to change the zoning in Berlin that would cost over $400 to do. A lot of people already have chickens in Berlin, even though the zoning is against it. And there is truly no reason to have over 10 acres of land to have chickens. Chickens don't need that much space. A lot of the times you have chickens and you buy a coop and it's like 4 feet by 8 feet. And then you buy a run for 5 feet by 10 feet, and that's really the space that it requires. There's no other concerns that have, that come forward when you have chickens. Especially when people keep them in a safe coop. I have a 20-pound dog that I'm concerned about being in my neighborhood, so with fox or coyotes or animals, so we shouldn't not allow chickens just because of wild animals that could be. And I just strongly feel that this is an outdated zoning regulation that should be changed, and and nobody should have to spend the $460 application fee to amend this regulation, especially since it's not guaranteed that it would even pass. So that's that.
Okay, all right. And let me ask you the same question. Do you believe that chickens should be allowed wherever?
Yes. Just as a dog should be able to be in any person's house.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And is there anyone else?
And what do you call it, just a quick question, so you're on Worthington Ridge. Is there any, is that part of the historical district?
Yes.
Is there any regulations in regards to the historical district in this venue?
Yes,
About having chickens?
but any kind of livestock. I live on the.
Well, again, you live on Worthington
I
Ridge
live-
and so
yeah,
does he,
yeah.
so. Okay, so there is,
Let me just say, I don't disagree with what both of you are saying, but I agree with what you're saying. You can't have somebody in a condo that wants to put a little coop on their balcony and they want to raise chickens. There must be some kind of regulation. And unfortunately, if you read the regulations here, it says absolutely no livestock or fowl at all. I don't believe, we can't change the zoning.
No.
It has to go through zoning.
I was told,
Just
Actually-
had run to avoid the fee.
Well, and I understand it may be a recommendation from us to zoning
yes,
might help. But we as a committee can't change the zoning
No.
regulation.
Maureen, I believe you spoke with my mom and you said that,
With one person in our office who said that the committee, well, this is my recollection again, it was one of many conversations of different ways things happen, and regulations get changed. Let me just, for the record, I just wanna kind of cover the fee.
yes,
Which public hearings are required for a change of the text amendment. And public hearings require being posted in the newspaper, both twice for running the public hearing and then again for the decision. So a large fee is incurred by the town for any text amendment. So, and that we just figured if one item was, we did kind of a quick search. If one item is noticed and only one item, sometimes that fee is slightly reduced because the blurb about the meeting may be spread out between 3 or 4 public hearings. But if it's one item noticed, we came up with it's approximately $550. So the $460 fee is in line with what it costs the town in real costs for zoning amendment, not administration, not any of our salaries and analysis and research or anything else, but just simply the bill the town gets if we're gonna have a public. So, I just wanted to get that on the record because I don't think that all the calls and chatter we've been hearing in our office, that seems to be clear to the general public. As far as the Plan Conservation Development Implementation Committee did decide to put farming and looking at our farming regs and see, what do the commissions and boards that are serving on this committee looking at to move forward with, to put as priorities. We have the priorities in the implementation plan, so recommendations of what the committee's getting as priorities, because we have a lot of high priorities. As we've noted on each of these meetings we've had, there's a lot of high priorities and you gotta then prioritize those high priorities. To decide, determine direction and hopefully set a direction. It's the direction we want the Lady Zoning Commission and or the staff to take. Or for the last several years, the last time there was a major change to the agriculture regs, we discussed at the last meeting, was in 2016. That's when I believe it was changed from the 3 acres and zoning board of appeals approval to farms being 10 acres with the overall understanding at that time that there was factions in town who were very pro-chicken and others that were very anti-chicken. And someone would probably be coming in with some research and information and a proposal to perhaps modify the regs, or if the priority would get there for the department. So I think we're now at that next crossroad of, okay, it's since 2016, how are those smaller farms or smaller animal keeping gonna be addressed? So
And
it's
as you
time.
as you noted, we are gonna be taking up the farming and agricultural section of the plan of conservation development under our item number 6. So we can also include that in on it as well, if Kimmy so pleases. Okay, all right, and yes,
Sammy, basically that regulation is written to protect the abutting property owners. You have a situation that you could put chickens on your property and not affect anybody.
Yeah.
But we also have houses on our street that are very small lots. And if they have those chickens, they could bother the abutting property. They might not bother, it might not matter to them. Others just shake it off, said, it's fine, but you have to make regulations, and they have to be blanket regulations. Okay, so if something is written for this, maybe the chicken coops have to be a certain amount of feet off your property line and so forth. But it doesn't mean it can't be done, all right? But you gotta see or think for a moment how the general population would think and not think of their neighbor. So it can be written up.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I just don't think, she asked me how many acres should you, or,
yeah, I was just looking for feedback.
I don't think I'm the right person to ask about that, because I like chickens, but, you guys are
I don't think
knowledgeable
there's a
about.
person among us that hates chicken. I'm not gonna get- no, who hates chickens?
But I agree, Mr. Kazarian. There's houses that are close by and having chickens or even having a rooster, that would be a true nuisance. I just strongly feel that 10 acres is too much. I think 1 acre is fine, or a half an acre is fine, depending on how far away it is from the.
That could work.
Yeah, all of that is workable, and especially when you look at the average lot size in Berlin, that's important. I just don't want to take the ability away from families, because it is good for them to be able to have.
But also too, are they gonna be penned all the time? Are they free range? Are you letting them loose in your yard? There's different,
There's a lot of.
there's a lot of variables we have to look at,
Yeah.
If you're gonna have a pen, you're gonna open up the gate and they're gonna be able to run around. Well, maybe 10 acres is something you need, or 5 acres. If they're gonna be penned all the time, you're right. An 8 by 10 pen may be enough. And again, when you said a rooster, that's a totally different thing too. Now you're talking,
Most towns, they don't allow roosters for that reason.
I'm curious what the Burlington Historic District peoples are, do they prohibit that altogether?
I believe they do. I mean, look,
It might not even be addressed.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there for almost 40 years, and every time you do something, if I change the light bulb on the outside of the house, they have to call me and let them know that I'm doing it.
I think it's as long as it's not visible from the street.
Right.
They don't really mind.
Right.
Well, but I think that's to the, similar to a zoning regulation, if it's a historic district rule. And you end up having a neighbor that doesn't want the chickens and they make a complaint, it's the same. kind of issue.
Also, I will tell you, and I don't know if you've been to this other district, anything you do to your house, before you go to building department, you have to go to the historic district first. Yeah, you have to get to.
So I can partially address that. I did just ask Alexa if we have the regs, quick, if she find a quick print to run them down to me. But, I don't, my recollection is that, other animals, non-domestic pets aren't addressed directly in the historic regulations, but I could be wrong. Our
So
staff
you could
is
have
there.
chickens as a pet.
No, that's not what I'm saying, no, I don't, because that's not the way the regulation's been interpreted, but I don't think off the top of my head, I don't think the historic district regulations address farming.
There you go.
However, anything, as Ms. Grady said, anything that, can be seen from the street, from the public way. If you're changing something, if you're putting up a coop or even a fence, in the area that can be seen from the public way, then it does require a certificate of appropriateness from the Historic District Commission. So,
Okay.
that's when people go to the Historic District Commission, not if you can't see it, then we administratively handle it to the office.
Okay, so I think, yeah, well, I think that will, thank you all for coming. And you're welcome to stay through the meeting if you wish, but we're gonna continue on with our agenda and get over to the agricultural part of the meeting. Next up is the approval of the minutes for April 25th. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes, go through them? Are there any corrections, additions? But thank you. All right. Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, I was looking down.
All right, Bruce, all right, has the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Oh, leave it all quiet. I should just want to stand at this point. I should be a little louder. All right, further discussion. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. Okay, the updates on the implementation plan and mapping. This was the sidewalk activity plan, which was a grant proposal and future plan. See the prints, and I also see Jim Mahoney here, so I'm sure that he is here.
I'm sure the agenda, they were put together, a couple of prints and one large ledger size print.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much.
And that goes along with what Jim was gonna discuss. I think.
You handle that already?
I did.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Go back.
And then there was a second, Jim's thoughts and a second handout.
Okay,
But separately, I don't know when he's gonna speak to each one, but.
all right. So we'll ask Mr. Mahoney for an update then. How you doing?
All
today?
right. I'm
All right.
well, and you?
I'm good, all right. I
Great.
survived the chickens.
So, first I was gonna give a quick update on some of the items. I'm, certainly members of the committee will also provide, or may also provide additional updates on activities that happened since our last meeting that are pertinent, but I'll hit a few highlights. We were awarded a recreational trails grant along with Middletown. Middletown's the lead on it. That's for the Pistol Creek Lamentation Mountain area. So we did get that grant. We, our latest analysis on the affordable housing 830G leaves us, we feel like we're about 45 units short of our 10% goal, and a number of projects that are obviously in the works on the construction, like 404 Berlin Turnpike. And the settlement was made on 1696 Berlin Turnpike, which will create additional units. And also in new in the affordable housing realm is that we had issued our request for qualifications for developers for the former Knights of Columbus, and the council selected a preferred developer at their last meeting. It's Vesta Corporation and O'Riordan Majani Partners, and we're in the process of just negotiating our exclusive negotiating agreement with them, and they're getting going on their planning for the project. Their proposal was to do 80 senior housing units in 2 phases of 40 each. They've given us some ideas of how they're going to pursue the financing, and they're going to undertake a community engagement process to find out what people in the community think are important aspects of the new project. And so that'll be unfolding during the summer and beyond. And we're hoping that for our first mini deadline is that the Department of Housing has a development engagement process in the fall. So we're trying to encourage Vesta and O'Riordan Majani to submit an application that quickly to get into the pipeline. So hopefully that'll move forward. Regarding economic development, you all know 29 Steel Boulevard's under construction. We've also, and a tenant has been secured for that. And we also secured additional brownfields funding that we had paused the engineer control project at 55 Steel Boulevard because of needs for changes based on unsuitable soils. We got the supplemental grant and we just got word of that a week ago. So we're proceeding to work with the consultants, do some change orders, bring it to the council, and hopefully get a restart on that project in the summer. And we're hoping to finish the remediation by the end of the year. If all goes well, which it doesn't ever seem to go with that project, we're hoping it's our turn to get lucky on this and we'll get it done by the end of the year. We did a little update for the town council in May, and we looked at some other transportation related things. Trying to update on that. A couple of projects, Christian Lane, Porter's Path, Deming Road reconstruction is complete. 6.86 miles of local roads were repaved in the last year. We did submit an application for a $3.2 million sidewalk grant. Didn't get a good rating. We'll talk about sidewalks a little bit more at the end of this, but we're still in the hopper there for that. And CROG will advance it to DOT, and it's a future grant, but we have potential there. I think we probably talked about called the RAISE grant for pedestrian and vehicle safety along the Berlin Turnpike corridor in Newington, Weathersfield, and Berlin. CROG put together the grant, and they were awarded the grant. We got word on that this week, so a little bit of good news there. Again, other projects, facilities and services that are underway. Of course, the police station renovation is underway. The HVAC projects at Willard and at Griswold and Hubbard, received approvals for funding and also state grants. So those are moving forward. And of course, Willard was already moving forward. And the Biscoglio Field, turf field redone is complete. Also the Percival soccer field in the last year. Funds were approved for new equipment for Little People's Playground and redevelopment study of the East Berlin Pool Complex. The wash bay was completed. Regarding the community center planning, revised statement in need was just presented to the council, and the council also received a presentation from the YMCA. And I believe Sandy can correct me if I'm wrong, but the council is working to schedule a special meeting to consider next steps for the community center project.
Correct.
Also, a couple of things of note. Anything else, Sandy, on that before?
No, I think you covered it. It's great.
Okay. So a couple of other items of note and noise ordinance. The council's advancing the process to create a noise ordinance. Bruce will probably comment, but the council had quite an extensive discussion about the water district study. And lastly, again, getting back to the sidewalks, we did have, some concerns expressed at council meetings and Board of Finance meetings about what were, how much of a priority the sidewalks were and which sidewalks were highest priority. That Transportation Alternatives Grant was focused on sidewalks in the vicinity of schools. And so what we did is we took a step back and we did a broader plan, and that's what was handed out to you this evening. And we are looking forward to trying to get some community engagement going so we can get some feedback from people about, how they feel about sidewalks, where they want sidewalks, where they don't want sidewalks. And we also have FHI did an interactive map for us that we could post online for people to post comments. And we're thinking also to place the map at the library, the town hall, and then people can post comments. So that's the game plan. I don't know if anybody has any other thoughts on that subject, but we'll try to move forward and get some more feedback from citizens as we move forward. And we do have, a $780,000 sidewalk grant that we're working on the design for now. So we will do additional sidewalk segments, but this is for the future beyond that. And that's what I've got.
Okay, I forwarded you all the link the interactive link that Jim has. Yes, and get that. Yeah, questions maybe. observations about any of the many subjects which that he has updated us with.
How many do we have?
What? How many what
How
sidewalk?
many subjects do we have?
Well.
Well, so if you don't mind,
Yeah, go ahead.
basically, we tried to, talk about the things that just spearheaded. The things on the implementation plan that we know are being worked on and moving forward, if anyone has something from one of your boards and commissions that we either looked over or weren't aware that you were working on, then, I think now up to the chair, but I think now would be the time to, say, oh, we also, this, our board commission is moving forward with another item that we didn't summarize. But we tried to grasp those that we're aware of.
Does anyone else have? Yes.
Yeah, and in respect to what Jim was saying, in the water control side of the coin, there was a meeting, there was a subject matter that was before the council the other day. Where, part of we've had a lot of complaints going through everywhere about the cost of how the other districts and whether or not they're up to date on their inflow and infiltration, because we keep exceeding it with the Manifest Sewer Authority. And they cannot get a permit from DEP because of that existing overflow. So in trying to see about where those shortfalls are and who's paying for them, and also the three districts. I was up at DEP and was talking to the lawyers the other day, and it's the same thing. They got to deal with three different commissions versus one in the rest of the state. So we have we have a study and plan that just financing is being addressed at this moment in time. So that's where it's working towards trying to find out why we keep getting it with overdue bills and stuff for the Manifest Sewer Authority.
Well, you have the Manifest and there's Kensington and the Worthington.
Right. Well, us from the water,
Well, straight.
Berlin Water Control, which is the rest of the town. Worthington is, you can see where it is, and then Kensington is other parts of it. And it's driving Dee crazy, it's driving the office crazy, and people complaining. One gentleman just joined our commission within the last 2 months. And that was the major thrust for why he did it. He's in Kensington. And he says, I have to pay not only my water rate, sewer rate, but I also have to pay a mill rate against my house.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
And he made him upset enough that he joined the commission.
Well, good. That's how people get involved.
Yeah, it's nice to see somebody get involved.
We also have
Is
to
there-
pay the commissioners still on those commissions.
Yeah,
Oh.
they get paid. Yeah, I know.
Anyone else who has anything on their commission? Or
Parks and Rec,
Yeah.
the statement of needs was presented to the town council. It doesn't look like they're looking to move forward at all. That's from our point of view. It was kind of sad that I think, the community center / senior center is probably needed for high school swimming. They don't have a pool to swim. Seniors are getting older, we're trying to take care of them. I think we need to do that. And community as well, to try to improve family structure overall, or not a bad idea.
But let me just back up for a second, just to clarify. You said that you guys on Parks and Rec are upset because the council or the town is not moving forward.
When they presented, it didn't seem there was an air about promoting and moving forward. It was more about maybe looking at the why and then kind of put it on the back burner again. Because they did this statement of need like 5 years ago, did all the work, and then nothing happened. Now
Yeah.
5 years later, doing it again, which is over 5 years from now. We'll do it.
Okay.
Just let you know, I was on the Public Building Commission years ago, and I was on long enough, we did 3.
Statements of needs.
Statement of needs for, and the last one was when we had strong mayor, which was Bob Peters. We were in a meeting, ready to go out to bid the next day. Bob Peters walked in and said, I'm stopping it, because if we go out to bid, our bond rate is gonna go below 8+, and that could be, and he says, the funding would be horrendous. Now, when was the Bob Peters mayor?
Oh, I would go back to the 80s.
That's when I was
Late
driving.
80s.
Yeah,
No,
that was the last time, and we had property, we had a mock-up, we had everything. I think the mock-up's still in the storage. Brian Humes did it.
Yeah.
And that was the last time I. Same
Yeah.
location? No, location was gonna be right over here, right off the boulevard, right off the road coming up. We own property right over there.
What was the
Is
estimate?
there any other?
We never got one because, we're
Shut it
getting ready
down.
to go out, we're getting ready to go out to bid.
Oh, I got, there wasn't an idea.
There wasn't-
Let's leave that in.
I think there was, but I forget what it was.
There must have been some.
It must have some, yeah, I'm sure Brian Humes, must come up with some idea, but that was the last time they really had,
30 years.
yeah.
Yeah. Is there any other items or issues before the Parks and Recs that you guys are working on?
Probably never sound the field, they've done a ton of work on different fields, on things, building bridges and,
About the,
the walkways. and,
Any summer programs beyond?
Just, well, they had closed down that one pool, it's leaking and nobody was using it, so they do lifeguards, everything set up for the personal.
Yeah.
And they, like I said, they go bridges, what's that? The golf course, the old golf course, Crystal Creek. That's all done, so they do a hell of a job, this one was just, it's kind of glossing over it, but it just looks like it's not gonna happen again. And which, if we're saying now at 40 years.
Yeah.
At some point, I don't know, I mean, it doesn't help me, but if I'm talking about the best of the town, it's supposed to be a forward-looking, committee. This is something that should be raised higher to a level of need.
I absolutely agree. I was director of the youth center years ago. That, I was married, yes, so it was over 45 years ago. I was director of it. It used to be at the old community center, KGS. And we used to have kids there on the weekend and stuff, place for them to go. At a gym, we had the basketball court, it was great.
Yeah.
And we need something like that.
All right,
That's right,
So-
thank you.
that's it. Any other committee?
I got a question about, we talked about the 4-acre parcel abutting Sage Park. Is that town owned or is that under the Parks and Rec?
I'll look it up, 4-acre,
Do they put the bus and stuff over there?
Yeah, you would
Is that
know
where
that,
you park
you
the bus?
dealt with the cleanup.
Turnpike?
The 4-acre parcel, that was the former car dealership that.
oh, they did clean it up since we last spoke.
Oh, yes, I'm talking about.
yeah, but under whose ownership is that, the town or the park? and Rec?
Is that where they park that bus, look at the bus drives?
Yes,
I believe.
I think
Yeah,
so.
that's town
I
owned.
think so.
Well, it is town owned, and regardless, it would be called a town owned
Yeah.
property, when you click on the map, it's town owned. It's who has the jurisdiction over its functioning, and I think, Jim, did we search that and find that we didn't find that it was exclusive to Park and Rec? You remember?
There's, I don't think there's deed restrictions involved, and so it's really, I guess it's up to the council as to how they want to use it. Originally, the plan was to put additional soccer fields at Sage, but that never advanced.
Well, there might have been a remediation issue underneath.
There was, but we completed the remediation.
Okay.
Yours.
Well, the parking lot was full during graduation, everyone parked there for graduation.
yeah, I know, I saw that, I had to go, what's going on?
Okay, anything on the sidewalks that we get these wonderful little maps? Anyone see anything that jumps out to them? Do you know when we're gonna hear? We expect to hear back on the grants for those, for the sidewalk?
Well, the transportation alternatives grant, we did, the Board of Finance did not approve the match for one thing, but we did make a presentation to CROG. We ended up 6 out of 7 in the CROG's ranking that they sent to DOT, which is not good, but we were kind of competing with some city projects, whether it's Hartford or Bloomfield, and then the suburban projects were more, completing missing sections of the regional bikeways and stuff. So we had more of a localized project, and but in terms of this is kind of a long range effort. It's like one of those federal funding programs that you have to submit the application now for the next number of fiscal years, federal fiscal years. So CROG's still gonna submit our application to DOT. And it might be, 2029 or 2030 or whatever, when, if we're lucky that our time will come up and we'll be offered the money, but, that's where it stands. It's not gonna be anything that we're gonna get funding for in the near term. But we do have, as I said, we have the $780,000 connectivity grant that we are working on now. We're gonna do, sidewalk on Kensington Road from Carriage to Norton. And also, we were planning on doing some additional sidewalk on Norton Road, north to Wildermere, but then a lot of comments we've gotten on the sidewalk plan. We might, reprioritize and do something instead of that piece. So we'll be doing those sidewalks where we got the grant approved. But the other ones that we applied for the schools, we didn't get a high ranking, so not likely to see any money out of that for a long time, if ever.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
just a real quick question, you said the Board of Finance did not go along with it or did not take
Right.
kindly on the grant?
Yeah,
How does
they're feeling, basic, it's kind of like trying to understand, the rules of the finance board, and their general policy is that you have to, obligate when you apply for the grant, you should obligate the match, right? And here's a grant that, if things go well, we might get it in 2020, 2029 or whatever. And they feel like, my take on their comments were, they have other priorities that are higher priorities than that, especially considering that it was a longer term effort. And then they did, there was some comments about, whether, do kids really walk to school? And, part of my reply was, well, it's not just for kids walking to school, for families, it's for everybody. The schools have athletic facilities, it's to make the town walkable and the like. And, that's part of the reason why we're going to go through this community input process to see, what kind of support is out there for the sidewalks. That maybe next time we apply for something, we'll have more success on the funding side.
All right, terrific. Any questions for Jim Mahoney at this time? Yes,
Just
John.
one comment, Jim, and I know I brought this up during planning and zoning, but just like roads degrade over time, and so do sidewalks, and we should make sure that, at least we start thinking about prioritizing on the budget side, that we make sure that there's funding to keep these sidewalks maintained over the decades that we anticipate them being there. And I know that Berlin is not the only town that has this problem where we underfund sidewalk repair, so we should start at least maybe moving the needle on that at some point.
Okay, good point.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyone else? Okay.
No, just a quick hit, are we doing anything in the future for bicycle friendly village? Yeah.
We did look at, with FHI was working with us on the grant application, and we did talk to them. I can send something out. We kind of had a concept to start with, think of it as kind of a, bike center area, for the center between the train station and, going out to the schools area with the 3 school cluster of Willard and McGee and the Berlin High School, and then back to the center type of thing, think of it as a rectangle or whatever, to make what improvements we can. We have issues, of course, with pavement width and such, but we can do, pavement markings like other towns have done, and other things. And so that's not, we didn't do any detailed plans, but just a concept of how we might get started. And then we do have, kind of a bicycle map in our POCD documents, where we evaluated the bicycle friendliness of various main bicycle routes that people ride in town. And some of them are pretty friendly, and some of them are not very much.
Yeah, I remember doing a tour with, I think you were in it on it, but yeah, there was a tour that we did throughout the center of town in that direction. And I also see that one of the bike shops.
Yeah.
Bike shop is moving Oh, yeah, yeah.
cutting edge.
Okay,
The
any other
old
questions? Huh?
He moved into the old limited.
Yes.
That's where it's going.
I agree with that.
Yeah, yeah, everything opens that Saturday, yeah. Any other questions for Jim at this point? Good job, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank
Yeah, I
you very-
think-
Okay.
I
On
think
to
the
next-
takeaway is we're making progress. We have to keep, don't think about the things we're not getting done. Appreciate also the things that we are getting done and we're moving forward on.
No, absolutely. Yep, good, small victories is right. Okay, on to the next item, which is item 6, is the discussion of priority implementation items, farming and agritourism. Okay, this is a biggie, just because it's complicated. And the chicken issue is one of the complications that we have. Well, yeah, that's true anyway. So. We also have the zoning regulations, that I guess, we still they printed off. And everyone should have a copy of what's, we're gonna have allowed and stuff like that. Yes, thank you for that, yeah.
Those that handed out.
I want to start out. Oh, well, I'll turn to Dahlia, is there anything that jumps out with the regulations with you as you are a guest? Speaker or not speaker, just person, good person to have on board.
So, after the last meeting, I gave a lot of thought to Ed's comments about wanting to see smaller roadside stands. And the more I think about it, the more it occurs to me that if people really wanted to be doing that, they would be. We would be seeing that. And it makes me wonder if it's worth even investing the time to draft regulations that would allow it, because I don't think that there's so much interest of people to be doing that we're seeing a problem.
I'm not gonna disagree with that. The one thing I was attempting to promote, this even looked at the last plan development. To allow, people to plant on larger acreage. Now, a lot of our areas where there's R7s and R11s and so forth. Anything, let's say, around at Willard School and so forth. A lot of those places won't work, but if you have areas that have 2 acre pieces or 3 or 4, you have a whole acre that you could plant and put a stake out there. But your point is well taken, is for the abuse. And I was thinking about how traffic would be a problem, how they would handle it. I still think the concept would be good, so anybody could generate an income off their land. But how do you do that?
I think you could maybe incorporate something, make an amendment to the regulations that would give the commission latitude for a special permit for smaller acreages. Would that work?
Almost like a special permit within it. Make it a
You know,
special permit.
Special permit that would allow for something less than 10 acres.
By these regs, nothing is permitted. For a home. Says right here.
Yeah, but what she's saying is that what you're proposing, if
What
I
I'm saying-
understand, is that if I wanted, if I had less than 10 acres. And I wanted to have a vegetable patch where I could sell the stuff at roadside. I want to keep my grandkids and kids busy.
Because people can have a garden.
Yeah, they
on
can
less
have a
than 10
garden.
acres.
Yeah.
It's the farm stand.
It's the farm stand.
Well, I'm saying it says right here. That you can't do it you can have a garden, but for little or no profit. And if you have a farm stand, you must get approval by the planning and zoning commission.
Right.
So,
The point I'm making
Well-
is that there's not a lot of pressure, there's not a lot of people asking.
right, but so I'm saying, what do you do with the ones that aren't open? I know when you're talking about, I don't know where lane, what do you do with them? Just let them keep going?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the difference is a farm or vegetable, we're growing vegetables. And a farm, we're gonna have to say at this point are two different things. Because this particular individual would be just growing plants and not having animals. Right, that would be the difference. But we have to take into consideration the safety factor. Okay, and again, a lot of the inner core would not be. Would not. Yeah, I'm talking once again, people that have larger acreage, 2, 3, 4 acres. That they wanna take 1 or 2 and. And have, and grow vegetables and sell them. Yeah, and what I'm looking at is, and we'll talk about this a little after. Is going back a little bit to what Berlin used to be. We don't wanna lose that altogether. Right, and not say this is easy because there's always abuse. There's always people that want to read regulations the way they want to observe.
Right.
Okay.
Is there a town that comes to mind for you that when you drive through, you see things like that, maybe you could research their regulations? When I think of Durham, I think of Alderman. There seems to be a lot of support for smaller agricultural operations as well as, bigger properties. South Glastonbury is an area that comes to mind.
Yeah, they got it. Yeah.
Uh,
Middletown has, the outskirts has areas that have some open land. But the reason why we didn't go forward with this 10 years ago, you had to have it so you could park 2, 3 cars. They wouldn't all be on the street. You got a small stand and just who's corn and tomatoes and so forth. Well, you're not gonna get bombarded. Okay, so if you had enough cars, off-street parking that they pull into your driveway or pull off, to an area. I'll mix this to what I wanted to bring up before, if that's okay. Okay, there's 4 years right here that were born and raised in Berlin. Okay, and you're all of a certain age and you remember how Berlin used to be and certain areas that are now houses, they used to be farms. Okay, they don't want to lose that altogether. Okay, we want that mix of all our commercial areas to be developed, but still keep that flair of Berlin. Okay, they want chickens, okay, but they don't realize that one person would respect their neighbors and the next person won't. Okay, but same with this, you want to have someone that would be able to plant an acre of land of certain things and sell it out in front. Mr. So-and-so is known for his tomatoes, and I can't wait for them to come out. That was like, okay.
Yeah.
And this guy's maybe gonna make $2,000 off it, But the idea of having those stands and keeping that charm of what Berlin was. That's really what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I'm all for development on the commercial
Through a
pieces.
farmer's market. You could get someone to do a farmer's market in town, I mean, they could do the same thing there, and that, to have the farmer's market, you have to have the right parking and this and that, so.
Yeah.
Safety's covered and,
Yeah.
you bring your produce there and.
Yeah, they had it for a number of years over at Huntington.
Yeah.
And had, the right amount of parking.
Right. Yeah.
And there were 2 or 3 farms that.
Yeah,
crossed
Jim
that.
Roby was around that.
Yeah, and,
To the initial
and
status.
Bergen.
Yeah. farmer's
Yeah.
market isn't allowed.
Christie's Burger, yeah.
Stores.
They were, you know, regulars and then with that.
Yeah, because it gave them, it gave them, an opportunity to bring the extras that they had. That weren't committed to, you know, neighborhood families or something to the open market. And that's a good idea too. But I do, going back, I do like the idea that Diane presented is that, you know, maybe we should do it as a special permit. Maybe we should amend it, amend it so that if somebody wanted to try it, they could.
Makes it possible.
It makes it possible for them. But, you know, I grew up on a farm, not a cattle farm, a horse farm, but it was a vegetable farm. But I do remember my mother when she went to work, she would have orders for eggs, orders for strawberries. As kids, we had to go out and pick the stuff. You know, so I kind of grew up around the farm. But that was kind of neat when I think back, when you're saying, you know, thinking back on what Berlin was. That's what it is. We had to load the station wagon up for her so she could get to Empire. So she could, you know, get her 75 cents for her big beautiful strawberries. Actually, 75 cents.
So, I just said to Morgan, this is the farmer's market, I said, look at the special and permit, the allowed uses. Farmer's market isn't allowed at a farm. I'd be interested to host a farmer's market. We talked, when we had our meetings, we were talking about, doing a farmer's co-op. And have products that they raise from multiple places available in one location.
That would be great.
So I think that's kind of a neat idea. The farmer's market is allowed on commercial zones.
Yeah, but the farmer's market should be on a farm, I think.
Well,
I mean, the
but
commercial.
it's not something that was considered when the regulations were.
So we're gonna have
So
to.
there's other things that I'm seeing as I'm rereading, it's been a long time since I've read through. But I think of places like Rogers Orchards and Lewis Farms, they have bakeries.
Yep.
There's nothing that allows for a farm to have a bakery. As like a supplemental thing, so.
Jams or.
Jams are.
Well, jams are allowed.
Jams are there, jams are there,
Yeah.
but they're, pies aren't listed. This reading through.
You know, a farm stand on a farm, I think is a great idea. No, I mean, no, let's have a farmer's market on a farm. Yeah, and that would be a great thing because you know, I mean, all the farmers know each other, so they know who's growing what or whatever. Plus, there's a desire for that. Well, I think People so. wanna go to a farmer's market in Berlin, they don't wanna have to go to Marion or, you know.
So right now, the farm stands calls for up to 10% from other local Berlin produce, which will not be a farmer's market, just a farmer's market would
Would be different,
be
right?
probably
The purpose is
90%
Right.
from
Yeah.
other farms. I was looking for provisions that had local, because I remembered there was something about
Yeah.
other pulling in from the local area, but again, we're just, I'm reading, and I'm quickly reading, but it's saying 10%, which is still small. The farm store must sell at least 40% produced on the property. So those are both high numbers for something where you're talking co-op.
But if you are to allow for a co-op to, you know, utilize other farms in the area or the town, or even neighboring towns that need a venue. Why would we have to restrict them and say, well, let's say, because Diane presented an idea. Okay, so she's saying, oh, I would be interested in hosting, so let's say Diane's gonna be the launch, so we're gonna host something on her farm. I don't know how you would say that she has to have like 10 or 20% grown on her farm in order to host this. I mean, I think what we could do, maybe for for the zoning is, like, right now, section 6 is farm stands and farm stores. Well, why can't it be farm stands, farm stores, farmers markets, and then make separate regulations for the farmers market where it could be, up to 90% or whatever you wanna pick. Would be, from other farms within.
Yeah.
I would assume we wanna keep it in Berlin, but I mean, you could look at that too, but I would think we wanna keep it to Berlin farms. And it would have its own. Separate regulations, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Different rules for what's current.
But if she had this farm stand and she had. What if I said, geez, I don't grow vegetables, but I make wonderful earrings that I'd like to sell. Let's say she wanted to sell jewelry. Would she be able to have like a portion of the kiosk that would have like a local jewelry maker or vendor?
Well, but it's
I
not
don't know.
agriculture. And I'm trying to stick with
Still
the
have-
agriculture.
You wouldn't put that in writing. Never mind, I won't say it.
No, but I'm saying, but if
It's gonna happen.
But if you
You know?
have the tomatoes, the cucumbers, the lettuces and everything, and then somebody said, well, I have honey hives, so I've got local honey. And then somebody said, well, geez, I make these earrings out of bottle caps, it's a wild fad now, can I sell them? Would she be restricted from that, or would it be allowed with a?
It wouldn't be
I mean,
allowed, but it's
the
gonna
farms-
happen a little bit.
The farm store regulations say that they may sell any product relating to agriculture except alcohol, so. If it's related to agriculture, then. I think it could fit in, because I think if you go too far out,
Yeah.
now you're
Yeah.
not holding
Yeah.
with your agriculture.
Because you could do craft things even that are made from wood on your farm.
Yeah.
or-
Someone has alpacas and they,
Yes.
out of the yarn and stuff.
Fiber, yeah.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
that
And
makes
Guy,
sense.
Guy has a question, he's for.
Yeah.
chomping at the bit. Go ahead,
No,
sorry, I didn't see you. again.
We talked about the, ones that happened like at Hungerford's and there are some other locations and stuff. And they were kind of promoted as farmers.
Yeah.
Markets, but to be able to make it profitable for the place for outside of a farm, being able to host it, they always had other
Right. Other
totally
products, right.
unrelated products.
Right.
Oh,
In there, so that there was only maybe 25% of the vendors were actually selling either flour.
Yes, to me, that wasn't a farmer's market, that was more of an open air market or something, I would
Right,
call
so
that,
then just thinking like, where does that fall in, or is that totally out of,
So the-
like a possibility of meeting some kind of regulation?
The Department of Agriculture has farm market standards.
Mm-hmm.
So there's farm markets and then there's a certified farm market. And I'm not familiar with the rules that they have, but I know that if you call yourself a farm market, you have to follow the rules for Department of Ag. And one of the farmers markets that I hear a lot of good things about, that I've never been to, I think is Ashford, where they're known for the bands that are there, and it's like a big community event every week.
with Box and Rich should be on this.
Those are things to think about, because that could be a real tractor too.
Yeah.
It could be a lot of fun, but it could be a bad thing, depending on what it is.
So I think it's maybe Guilford, they use the town green, that let the farmers do it there, I
Yeah.
mean, so there's ways that it could be done, it's just figuring out what's right for Berlin and.
I think you and I seem to had a conversation once. I think the perfect spot for a farmer's market is the parking lot at the front of Sage that the town owns.
Yeah, the turnpike.
Yeah, I think the town should host a farmer's market, but that's.
Oh, yeah.
Another band.
Guy, Guy wanted to say
Sage
something.
Park, right?
You'll have to talk to Parks.
No, just saying, I think we almost covered my comment, but that, maybe by adding in the, allowing farmer market at farm, you eliminate those other types of events that aren't really true farmers markets anyway. So, and then they don't fall within this part of the ranks anyway.
You need to have an incentive though, it needs to be worthwhile.
Right. And if it's gonna be outside of, with somebody other than a farmer hosting it on, maybe on their property or something like that, there's gonna be expenses with having it someplace, and typically, you probably can't make it work if you have 4, 5, 6 farms bringing stuff and that's it. Because there's usually some kind of cost.
Yeah, that's why if you do it on the farm,
Right,
you don't have that.
you
cost.
don't have it,
You know,
so,
most of the current insurances that the farms would have would cover liability stuff. You know, maybe the other farmers kick in something to them for letting them host it, but I
Right.
mean, I myself, I would be like, you know, I mean, if I were to do it, I'd be like, go ahead, you know, everybody gets it. Here you go.
A
You know,
lot more
let's, you know.
liability funded. I would never let somebody come onto my farm and sell something without proving to me they're insured.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, no, I get that, yes, no, oh, yeah, no, absolutely agree with that. No, that's
No.
and the Parks and Rec is still gonna get the ban. Okay.
That's what DFW would be a great place. That little side lot parking.
Oh, yeah, oh, where they do the plant sale and stuff over there, yeah.
and and they have stuff there, they have. you know,
Large dollars Christmas.
Yeah, and other big vendor events in that spot.
Yeah.
So they're used to hosting.
And then when the winter comes, then we'll have to move it inside, so that's when the farmers market inside.
Cromwell has something every Friday. They have a band.
Yep.
People that sell produce, but they sell everything.
Yeah, Westbrook has the same thing.
Yeah.
Right in town.
And what this gentleman's saying is true. You've got to have more of an invite for the general public.
Yeah.
And then they'll go to the farm stand and buy their tomatoes and you know, the fresh corn and so forth. But it has to be an organized function. And probably something that has, and treat it just like a business, if it is on the turnpike. The only thing you probably gotta do is get 2 porta potties. Okay, and then you have the function. But it's not something that's gonna happen right away, it has to be well organized.
It gets complicated, yes.
I think the conversation is really, what I'm hearing is 2 different things. One is viability on farms to or farmers to have a place to sell their wares. And then the other is the community event of bringing people together to get things local.
Right.
And so you've got your
Open air
market,
Yeah,
and that good term,
Yeah.
we've been calling them makers markets or craft, or not
Yeah.
craft, there was another word we've been using it easy for them recently. But then you have the item that belongs to the farming regulations, because those other type of market is most likely not going to occur in the zones that have the farms. They'll be in the commercial zones, they'll be maybe in the new pocket park on Steel Boulevard, that's one of the places that's been thrown out. As well as, you know, some of the other mentions that, those other spots that you all mentioned already. Again, we had that organizer back in the early 2010s, I think he set up the farmers market, Mr. Roby, is that his name?
Yeah.
You know, he really took the bull by the horn and did it at that time. And now we're also aware of, I don't know what the established there, or rather Department of Ag established their regulations with regard to the farmers market, the farmer, what do they call the diet charge? The market master, they have a rule for a market master, and it is a very, they're very distinct rules. But that's more of a commercial enterprise than you would think of as the farmers, the market on a farm that allows the market, the farm to keep
Right.
So the market
Somebody
master
organizes.
controls the vendors.
Yeah.
The market master is who the vendors deal with. The market master is responsible to make sure that each of the vendors has insurance. They have to provide insurance before they're allowed to display. The market master has very specific responsibilities. Yeah.
It's kind of
He
like
runs the
Orleans
show.
Fair where you got the retail guy.
That's the show.
Yeah.
Anyone else with questions or comments? Well, we had a lively discussion about farms. I'm not sure we resolved the issue though. But I think we'll.
I mean, can we make a recommendation for, for
Sure.
planning and stuff? Yeah, this is just discussion, I'm not making a motion, but,
Well,
want to make a discussion, but just that we can, make a recommendation to planning and zoning to look at possibility, or the viability of creating a modification for a farmer's market on a farm.
Yes.
Well, and also case by case special permit for smaller acreage.
Yeah.
For farm stands, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I really thought this was all about, was the small farm stand,
Yeah.
you know.
But I think
the
that
guy who
in
has-
language like that,
Yeah, they actually put the language in there for a special permit.
Yeah, because then if someone does have, if someone does have a,
Lot
I
of
call it a
chickens.
gentleman's farm, but. If they have an acre and a half that they're growing vegetables on and they want to be able to sell it, well, maybe they don't qualify for the farm stand, because there's a farmer's market. Maybe then that's somewhere, that they can bring it and sell it there, right? So it still gives them the ability to make the income.
The problem I see with that is they're saying, okay, the market master says, and look for insurance. Guy who has a little farm like that is not gonna have insurance. He's not gonna pay for it.
I don't think it's a very expensive policy though.
It might just be a rider on his own one.
Doesn't make a difference, if he makes $500 during the course of the summer months growing vegetables, and it's gonna cost him $250.
Oh, if we have to if we give him out a special permit, that would be proved that worthy of a special permit.
What were we?
Sure. That he needs to be insured.
Oh, right, so that's what I'm saying, are we
Yeah.
gonna knock those people out from going to the farmer's market?
Well, how often is the farmer's market gonna run? Usually it's just a one-day event, is it not?
Oh, usually.
One day a week.
One day a week.
Yeah.
You
I
have
don't
to have an
know.
organization that's gonna run it.
Right,
And
Liability insurance at that kind of level is probably about $200. That's what my rate is. And so. Then you should,
And it
Our
may be less
liability
if they
insurance
allow
is higher
seasonal.
on that.
If
Right, I mean, I
you
could
can
either
get
do it.
something that's seasonal,
Yeah.
right, they may have a provision for seasonal.
All right, so,
But the wording can be done.
all right, so how do we feel about the suggestion that Sandy has made, that we look at, re-examine the farmer's market, the use of the farmer's market on farm? And a special permit to allow local residents to have a farm stand.
It's a good suggestion, it also promotes farms.
Yeah.
It keeps farmers in the public eye and, it's still an important part of our community.
Now, do we chase down the lemonade stands?
We put them on business.
Oh my God, there was a little girl on Orchard Road the other day. I don't know what her parents were thinking. No sign. She's running out into the lane as cars are coming off the turnpike. Trying to get people to buy lemonade.
Wasn't there one on Kensington Road too today?
There was one in Kensington Road, by the old, stop at the farm, yeah.
Running
Yeah.
out into the lane.
There was four boys on bicycles.
So I just saw a little girl.
I saw four boys. Anyway, so how do we feel about that? Do you want to
Pursue it.
pursue it?
Oh, that was kind of a consensus.
I think so.
All right, I just want to make sure that your response here. All right. So we don't need any kind of motion. No, recommendation. Okay, so my planning and zoning is gonna love us. All right. Well, yeah, we haven't talked about the chickens. Do we want to address the chicken issue?
I kind of like the idea of allowing chickens on smaller acreages, but the first thing that comes to mind for me is that you're gonna have goat people that are here next. that,
Yeah.
You know, that everybody's gonna want their favorite animal. On
I've got a
smaller
lawnmower in my
acreage.
backyard.
Well, they caught a pig on Summit Wood. so.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
saw
was,
that.
yeah, the policeman was talking about it.
Yeah.
Was there a boat thing years ago? on
Yes.
the Brick Road?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Veronic's had a goat in their backyard.
You know,
I think you explained it very well about why that cost us. I mean, one of the biggest things about Sam was the cost of the permit change, or the
Yeah.
zoning. And you explained it perfectly as far as I'm concerned. Because of, well, there's a reason for that, and the reason is it's not gonna get modified. Not if we gotta go through the publication and everything else, so even if we're gonna change the 3 or 4, something like that, there's still gonna be a cost.
Well,
yeah.
but any regulation change there is
Yeah.
a cost, so anytime,
Right.
even
Publication
the
itself is
the
pretty.
town, if the town, so what their point is, or her point was, is she thinks it's an important enough issue, the town should be absorbing the
Funding it.
cost,
Yeah,
because
funding
there
it.
is community interest in having it done. From our office's standpoint, and I don't disagree, I don't agree, I'm neutral on it. However, my experience in being in that office for roughly 10 years is there are as many people that come in that are pro chicken as that call and tell us about their neighbor that has the chicken, and we better send out an enforcement order. It is like, as they said, there
Both
are
sides.
many chickens we don't know about in town, many people who have them.
Yeah.
But there are a whole lot that have gotten enforcement orders because we have heard about them.
Yeah.
So there's
But they're
two
affecting their
sides,
neighbors.
and that's
Yeah.
the point to the public hearing is when you have a regulation change. And I
think
suspect
that's the
in 2016 that was one of the items is why it kind of got tabled at that time
Yeah.
of the small animals. And when people come to the counter, we regarded chicken as just the difference between having small animals, large animals, and animals on 10 acres, so we kind of, thought of it more wholly than just chickens. Maybe it's rabbits, maybe it's little pigs, maybe it's goats. And there are provisions in some towns that talk to the size of the animal versus the number of acres, and look at other towns' regulations, they run the gamut. But some of them might say you can have 3 chickens or 1 goat, or well, let me do bigger numbers. 10 chickens, 3 goats, or 1 horse on such a size lot. They proportion it for the size and the combination. So, there's a lot to look at, and it was part of the, where do you prioritize it as far as
It's creative.
the people interested in the animal farming.
Yeah.
Perhaps bringing forward some best practices as they see it, being the experts that might bring forward that happening as well.
Zoning enforcement got a letter just the other day about therapy chickens.
Well,
Oh,
I-
yeah.
Oh,
we
really?
did.
What's therapeutic about?
Therapy chickens, and I saw on Facebook posted within the last couple of days a chicken in a baby.
Oh, my God.
That's the
harness.
regional support
It's
animal,
slower?
which is different from, that's like.
Yeah,
The sport chicken.
But you still gotta put it somewhere.
No, this is.
Don't necessarily have to.
It's in our-
service.
We are losing our minds as a society. We're going off.
It's like airplanes in the air industry said, yes, service animals trained and certified.
Yeah.
Emotional animals,
No.
no.
No, we wouldn't allow promotion, I noticed running medical practice, no way, we wouldn't allow emotions for service stuff.
Wait, what's the
Yeah.
difference? You said emotional support animal versus
Well,
service.
Well,
Like
yeah.
they're blind or.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Service animals are
I was on a
trained
plane,
and
I was-
certified through whatever state you're in.
I sat
But an
next to a
emotional
lady,
animal is
she had
I
a
go down
dog.
by an emotional animal, put a
And, you know,
spell
I
on,
got
it,
so
say,
many
hey,
dogs.
I'm not getting on a
Get
video.
it.
Oh, I thought- Okay, anyway, all right,
Yeah.
so, we're not loving the chicken thing, right? We're not feeling the love there. That's a tough one, because, you know, you don't wanna deny people the chance to have a chicken or two, but the problem is that people tend to push the envelope, or you get the bad neighbor, or, I don't know, and it does bring in a lot of problems having chickens, and I don't think regular folk realize that foxes and rats, all these other critters, they just love those eggs.
There are more chickens in this town than you know.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are.
probably,
We have a,
probably, but I don't think we should
Think of
bless them.
get away with it,
And the regulations say the keeping of animals. Pretty. It's written.
We've written orders on bunny and you know, that.
Hutches.
Hutches in the yards as well.
How did this come
I get
about?
rid of your bunny hutches too.
How did this chicken thing come about? They wrote in that wanted a permit or?
So this, the amendment she referenced was a letter that came in without language. It was, you know, I think it should be changed and kind of outlining changes.
She sent a personal opinion, but it was.
But not, well, it had a little specificity, but it's not the way a text amendment, we have a format, have directions, they didn't come in previous to discuss, you know, how to do this, what the process is for a text amendment. It's kind of a letter saying, we want a text to come in that it addresses this, it says this, but not, so you typically, our text amendments have languages that exists. What needs to come out gets stricken through. What is being added, putting it in bold, or delete this section and rewrite it this way, you know, so you can actually change the regulation very specifically. And no, you know, so
But I
the
did
planning and zoning commission and the, and if I remember correctly, it was some months ago, but determined it was not an application to be accepted. You know, it wasn't the format with the requirements for an application.
Where they sent a letter in denial,
A letter that,
said it was.
that it was not. I think,
Not
again, I
warranted.
haven't, I didn't read that, I did take notes with me today,
Wasn't for.
I'm not sure. Where I put that.
So they came in asking for permission to have chickens? Is that what it was?
The decision to deny the amendment due to an incomplete application
So they were.
was the way we summarized it in our little doc.
So instead of just getting chickens, they tried to change the regulation.
So it could do. But
So
that
they
kind
could have
of.
just got chickens and then seen
Hope
if
their
they-
neighbor didn't call.
and their neighbors wouldn't have filed.
Rat him out.
Yeah, they try to be honest about it. Realize.
Still doesn't.
You know, this might not
Yeah.
make any difference, but you don't know who that woman was. That's the daughter of Peter Lavery.
I
You know
mean,
what
she's
that
been
is?
in town plenty, she's
You know what that is?
come through for a
Yes.
number of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which one?
No,
No, which person?
the woman over here.
But she said,
Their particular piece of property, theirs goes way back, far enough away from house, but it sounds like they wanted to follow the regulations and make sure it was legal. But they could have easily put chickens on their property. And
They got a large.
And they may still be.
Yeah.
You should. Yeah, maybe they'll just do it now.
That goes way back. That's Doran's
Yeah.
property. But,
All right,
okay,
okay, on to the next issue. All right, so we have at least a direction for that, right? Okay, good. All right. The next is the suggested topics to focus on at the next meeting, which.
Can I go back to the farming rec for a minute? I'm just wondering if there are other aspects that are of priority concern? I mean, or if that's been exhausted for this evening.
I think that's a loss for the evening, but I'm thanking you for this. 'Cause
I
know
have,
what's
I have other ideas, but I think maybe planning and zoning would discuss. If we raise any issues.
all right.
Okay.
Right.
Two separate.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that if anybody had any questions or others that had seen,
Yeah.
noted anything that was of particular concern, you know.
Not at this
Besides
time.
otherwise.
Who knows, maybe the next meeting, they'll say, hey, you need to go back, which is fine. The next item is suggested topics to focus on at the next meeting, which is scheduled 10/24/24. October 24th, and that I'm going to just say that I won't be here because I'll be stuck in early voting. For 18 days. What?
Do you want?
Yeah,
Should we
because
look to a date?
10/24 is what, it's before Halloween, so it's been a year, I'm just gonna be.
Sandy Vice Chair, I agreed to be your alternate for this.
Oh, good,
It's I'm vice chair, I could do it
Okay.
with the group.
all right. What day of the week is the 20th?
I believe they're all Thursdays.
It's a Thursday.
Thursday.
I think we went for all of them to be Thursdays and
Tuesdays and
six.
Thursdays.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I think that's the day I'm required to be here till 8. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have to work 8 AM to 8.
So Sandy's vice chair.
Yep.
Diane, you would be the
I think, well,
alternate
when
for-
the committee was being formed, Joan and I agreed that I would serve as alternate if she wasn't able to attend.
Oh,
That's
oh,
true.
So
okay.
I
So can you be here?
participate, yeah.
Okay. All right, great. All right, so that's resolved. Of course, well, actually, you'll have to find a new place to meet too, because this room will be for early voting. So we'll have to move the meeting, make sure.
We'll probably
you
go
know.
down to engineering, just so everybody
Okay,
knows that's
just-
probably
just-
where we'll go,
this is
but
a
Lisa and I will
follow-up.
work on finding.
Yeah.
Their spaces.
And if I have time, I'll.
Maybe
contact
the
you.
town manager's conference room, there's, you know,
All right.
spaces.
Too small.
Yeah,
Well, engineering office is probably.
yes, okay.
Good idea, yeah. A bunch of us meet in there as it is, so.
All right. Okay, so that's done. And so economic development, zoning recommendations. That will be one of the topics, and the other one is, I guess, up to us.
So that's a recommendation, a
Yeah.
recommended topic.
Yep.
Right now, our consultant FHI is working with economic development as well as working with the town staff to make some recommendations. You remember we had this on a meeting or two ago and economic development wasn't ready for reporting on it at
Yeah.
that point.
All right.
So we're thinking, you know, maybe moving forward with it by the
The
next
consultant should
meeting.
be done by then too.
Yeah,
So
there
maybe
may be more through the process than anticipated by then as well. They're not
Alright.
really sure.
All right, so we'll put that on the agenda as the hot topic, and then the next item would be, as Sandy pointed out, perhaps. If we're working with economic development, maybe we want to look at transportation priorities. And sort of piggyback with that. How does that sound?
Perfect.
Okay.
Well, I have something environmental. My committee, we are citing somebody across the street from Home Depot. Who's got a 30-foot pile of wood, which is up against the Manabassa River. And we're citing him because he's too close to the river, but it also should be looked at from planning and zoning that. And we told him, you better check the planning and zoning, 'cause I don't think you can do this, it's not zoned for that.
We've been dealing with them as well.
What's that?
The zoning has been dealing with
Okay,
the
yeah.
same issues. We're working really close with Jim
Same,
Yeah.
same
on
place.
on that
That's
property.
what's under construction.
No, you know where
The pops.
Pops place used to be,
Yeah.
big glass guy.
Big pile.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
one
yeah,
guy bought the whole plaza and he's leasing. And some guy, I guess some guy is a landscaper, and he came in there and it literally is a 30-foot high.
Yeah.
Pile of
Oh, boy.
cut wood,
That's
And
not
it's,
good.
it's in, you know, it's almost going into the Manifest River.
Alright,
We
so-
started for that, but
So we'll get an update on that.
we have a meeting on Tuesday, so I'll find out about it on Tuesday, but.
So we
Yeah,
should
give
just
us
move
a
that
scoop.
policeman from here to there?
Probably.
We got one.
All right.
squad.
Okay,
What are you doing?
and next item is actually
Because
comments
we-
from you guys. Do you have any comments? All right, next item, comments, no comments, okay, so I would ask for an adjournment, we have a motion to adjourn at 7:38.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Okay.
That was fun.
Yeah, that's somewhere to meet. Bob and Lucas, right? All those in favor?
Aye.
Right, close and move, and have a great summer.
Yeah.
I don't see you all.
See you all.
before then. Remember, Parks and Rec, you're on for the band.
Night, Bill, thank
Budget
you.
surplus, we'll run out.
Sometimes take it down to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, but